Hey, travel friends. Today we are going to be talking about the 10 must-try foods of Paris. Kicking it off, Jimmy is going to talk about our first, which is bread.
When you when you go to Paris and France, you just gotta try as many bread products as you can. They just put so much passion and like energy and effort into making a quality product. It just like elevates anything you imagine like a croissant or a baguette to be. They emphasize the crustiness. They emphasize the soft interior for the croissants, the butteriness, right? It's just something that you generally just don't get or you rarely get outside of Paris. So when you go to Paris, eat as much as you can.
My understanding is it's the butter.
Yeah,
The butter makes everything better.
So the French butter has a higher fat content than butter that you get in the US. So it just makes it more buttery.
So good.
We ate a lot of croissants and baguettes over there. No regrets. They were all great all the time.
Yeah. All right, our next food is going to be escargot. Don't let it intimidate you. So this was my first time having escargot, and escargot are snails. They're cooked in kind of an oil. The oil is usually garlic, shallots, parsley, and butter. Let me tell you, that oil. So if you haven't had escargot or snails before, which they're not really common, at least not in the United States, imagine kind of like a grilled calamari. They're just a little more chewy. It's really fun to get them out. There's like all this unique utensils and so forth. But one thing that I have to say is that oil, I would order it alone and just dip baguettes into it. It is so good.
It's really the thing that makes escargot good because the snail themselves don't really have a taste. They have a texture that's like very similar to eating squid, right? Like what does squid by itself without any seasoning taste like? You know, you kind of need some seasoning, and then for escargot, it's very similar. You have a chewy texture, and then the garlic, parsley, butter, or oil really makes it good.
Yeah.
We ate it a lot.
So often. So just try it once, see how it goes, but can't recommend it more. Our next must-try food is going to be the onion soup.
Yes. I can't emphasize enough how amazing, like true, authentic, good onion soup really is. The French are just amazing at transforming ingredients. Before I went to Paris for the first time, I was like, onion soup? Like, I'm not even that big of a fan of the onion. Like, like why would anyone want to make a soup out of that? It just like boggles my mind that it would be as amazing as it turns out to be. I remember the first time I had it, it was just like, what is this thing? And I was like, and I had it so often my first trip to Paris. And then on subsequent trips, right, like in my mind, I'm like, okay, I know French onion soup is really good. But then I go there again, haven't had French onion soup for a while, and it just like, it blows my mind again. I keep forgetting how magical it really is. The cheese, the bread that's like toasty and like adds a little texture to it, the butteriness of the soup, the natural sweetness of the onion. It's just,
It's so good. It's very different from what you do get when you order French onion soup in the US. Over there, it's not called French onion soup because it's France. It's just onion soup. But I agree. I mean, it's a staple. You must try it. Definitely do some research, and if you haven't had an onion soup before, make sure you go to one of the top places that's known for an onion soup, and then you can decide if you like it or you don't like it. But we have had a couple that weren't great, but then we've had others that are just phenomenal.
yeah, I think French onion soup over there is, you find a good one around like the €15 range. You can eat it for lunch, for dinner. You can eat it like as a meal to itself. Traditionally, it's eaten in the colder months, but nowadays, you can eat it anytime, right? Tourists love it, so it's always available.
Yeah.
So the next thing that you must eat when you're over there is pâté. Pâté is, like liver, right? Either duck or chicken, and it's sort of like ground up and then flavored and all that kind of stuff, right? For you guys who love pate already, you guys know, what it's about. For people who are, not into pate, when you're over there, you should try it. They eat a lot of pate over there, so they make it as well as anyone makes it. Foie gras is, at least when we went there, was available, even though I recall it's not as available as my previous trips. So fewer and fewer places are offering foie gras for various reasons.
I didn't realize how good it was. It's so good. It was one of the first times I've had it as well, especially in France. And man, everything goes really great with a baguette. So if you're going to order that, be sure to have a baguette.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, I think it's worth a try. Everyone should try it once if you can.
Yeah, leave in the comments if you love pate. Comment if you hate pate.
It's a divisive food for sure.
It is.
Our next food that we recommend trying is going to be beef tartare.
This is also a bit decisive.
It can be a little divisive, yes. It sounds like I don't get out much, but this was also my first time having beef tartare. It's definitely something that you should try if you are in Paris or in France overall, because they do have such high standards for their food. This is also something that I would say if you have a thing with textured foods, like if the texture is something that can really bother you, this is something that you might not like it because it is a unique texture. But again, I was very surprised at how much I enjoyed beef tartare.
I think if you're not familiar with beef tartare, you think it's just like chopped up, fresh beef, but it's actually seasoned, right? Mm-hmm. There's some mustard in there. There's usually like an egg yolk for binding. There's other seasonings. So there's seasoning in there, right? It's not just like raw beef, but it is a textural experience, right? Mm-hmm. If you're not used to it. If you're not entirely sure if you're into beef tartare or not, you can always order it to share. Mm-hmm. The portion is usually generous enough that you can share it because it's usually just generous enough for you to eat it as your full meal, usually with a side of salad.
Yeah, it usually comes with a side of salad, which is really nice.
Okay, so the next thing that we're going to recommend you guys try over there is duck anything, right? Like
quack, quack.
All forms of duck. Duck over there is just a much more common protein than it is here in the US, right? Like here you kind of have to go out of your way to find duck, and over there much more readily available. So that means that they know how to cook it and make stuff with it way more than here. So go over there and quack, quack, quack. That's it.
Must try. The next item is probably going to be something very common to anyone that thinks of France or Paris, and that's going to be crepes. I'm used to crepes kind of more as an on-the-go dessert, whether it's just with powdered sugar, Nutella, strawberries, or even stuffed crepes that you can get in the US for breakfast. It's a little different over there. You could have sweet and savory crepes. You can have dessert, breakfast, lunch. We actually went to a creperie, and that was a game changer for me in that I had always just kind of associated it with like a snack or dessert, and we had actual dinner and dessert, all crepes, and it was really good and unique. So I think it's definitely something that if you're in Paris, you should try it. They're known for it.
There are usually stalls on the street that you can get your crepes from. I would not recommend those. I'm sure like the locals, they know which are like the good stalls to go to, so they kind of can go. So if you see a stall with like a really long line of non-tourists, then maybe you want to like try that. But I would say that most people, if you want like a good crepe experience, then go to like a restaurant that specializes in crepes, and then you'll have usually a variety of different types of crepes to choose from, as well as a variety of different like fillings, whether savory or dessert. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing to try over there.
Our next must-try food in Paris is going to be all-encompassing of some sweets. So that's going to include your chocolate, your tarts, your macaroons.
I think the French really takes, even like the smallest things like very, very seriously. So if you're looking for chocolate, right, there are chocolate masters. So that's what they do, chocolate. There are macaroon people. That's what they do. They make macaroons, right? And then there's like cakes, right? Patisseries, right? They sell cakes and sweets and stuff. So I think that it's just the specialization over there that really kind of brings each sweet thing that you want to get to sort of the next level. So if you want to try macaroons and you're just like, I've never really had a good one, go to and try it. And you might be very, very surprised, right? You might be like, oh, I get the hype now. I get why people love this. Eat a lot over there, try various things, and try to go to shop specific things or thing specific shops.
I think that going to the chocolatier, for example, is game changing for Jimmy.
Yeah, I was not really big on chocolate before our trip to Paris. So we went over there, we tried it just because there are like a lot of chocolate tiers. The price point is a little bit more than what you would spend here on like a Hershey bar or something like that.
A lot more than a Hershey bar.
But right. But the experience is a lot, and it's kind of like it's almost like apples and oranges, really. There's like nuances and depth of flavor in specialty chocolate or artisanal chocolate. It's just like a really unique, different experience. So I'm sure people who are really, really into nice chocolate already know what I'm talking about. But for those who haven't, and for me, I just never spent that much on chocolate. It's definitely a unique experience. I think you can compare it to like cheap wine versus not cheap wine. Okay.
I think you can use that comparison for a lot of food items. All right, so our next must-try food item is going to be cheese. Now, similar to what we were just mentioning with chocolatiers, patisseries, boulangeries, etc., cheese shops, so a fromagerie. Definitely go.
There's like probably two really important reasons why a cheese fanatic would want to go to a cheese shop as opposed to like getting the cheese at a grocery store over there. The grocery stores over there can't sell unpasteurized cheese. So all the cheese in the grocery store is pasteurized, which is the same here in the US. When you go to a cheese shop, you can get unpasteurized cheese, which is something that is extremely, extremely hard to find here in the US. During the pasteurization process where they kill all the bacteria and stuff, you lose some nuances of flavor, of depth. There's something extra about unpasteurized cheese that you just can't get when they're pasteurized. And so to get that kind of experience, you kind of need to go to a cheese shop.
Pop in, try as many cheeses as you can, and pair it with a baguette.
The cheese shops over there are a lot less intimidating than you would initially think. They do speak English, or there will be someone there generally to speak English if you don't speak French. And also the price point is generally a lot lower probably than what you're expecting, right? Just keep in mind that these cheese shops, they also cater to locals. And locals, this is a daily or weekly experience for them, right? They're going there, they're selecting their cheeses to pair with whatever they're eating. So the prices, they're affordable prices, is what I would say. Our last recommendation is especially good in the colder months if you're visiting Paris, and this is beef bourguignon, if I'm saying that right. Basically, it's a beef that's stewed in wine. Wine is good over there and plentiful and affordable, so they use it for cooking a lot more often than we do here.
Yeah. It's kind of like
a hearty
home-cooked stew that maybe your grandma used to make. Very good on a cold day for lunch or dinner, but something that you must try.
Yeah. When you're going in the winter months or the fall or something, sometimes it's cold, cloudy, a little rainy, and like after you're done exploring, you want to like warm up. A good bowl of beef bourguignon or even like the onion soup, it's just like it hits the spot.
All right, well, those are our 10 must-try foods. If we missed something, let us know in the comments. We'll jump on a plane, head right back to try it. Also, please like and subscribe, and happy travels and happy eats.
Bye.